Hello, it is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Thursday puzzle, possibly a tricky one, possibly something with some sort of ambitious or intricate theme. We'll just have to see. But first off, let me briefly mention the Patreon campaign, and if you are if you're at the benefactor tier of the Patreon campaign, or astonishingly above it, you should go vote on a poll that I've put up with 3 potential designs for the mug you'll be receiving, the design for the mug. And that will be, my intention is to eventually have more merchandise available to anyone, but whatever this design is will end up being exclusive to that tier of the Patreon as a bit of appreciation for the generosity of those backers. So if you are one of them, please head over to patreon.com/dailysolve and vote in that poll. The voting so far is extremely even, so it would be nice if one of the designs pulled way out ahead, so I could be very confident in choosing it. We'll just have to see. But vote for whichever one you like. And then there are other things at the Patreon. You can find a link below at patreon.com/dailysolve, including bonus videos and other things like special access to the Discord chat server, which is also linked below. All right, let's move on to some clues from yesterday's puzzle. There are actually a couple of cases of comments about clues that I solved with crosses and then to which I didn't return before the end of the puzzle, so we never explained what they meant. And let's see. Yes, Ben Ward says, I don't think you went back to 1A, museum wings, with a question mark. Museum wings? The answer was M's, E-M-S, referring to the M's on either side of the word, rather than the physical building features you were cheekily misdirected towards. And Ben thinks maybe they look like bird or bat wings, but I think actually what that means is the wings, meaning the things on the extremities of the word museum. That's a sort of cryptic style clue. That's the kind of clue you'd get in a cryptic crossword combined with other things, and it would mean you'd need 2 M's in a word. It comes up in New York Times crossword occasionally, but usually with slightly more direct language. So anyway, yes, museum wings was the letter, plural of the letter M spelled out phonetically. And similarly, Borders asks, could anyone enlighten me on the meaning of 53 down, olds of old, which works out to Sierra, C-I-E-R-A. And my speculation when I first encountered that clue was that it would be a defunct Oldsmobile car model. And it was. That's what the Sierra is. The Oldsmobile Sierra was a car model. And Oldsmobile, the brand, is entirely defunct. It doesn't exist anymore. So all the olds are old now. And that's what that was. I always thought it was funny that the Oldsmobile was named after its founder, someone named Olds, literally, which I suppose isn't surprising, but I remember as a child, I always assumed that somehow Oldsmobile was named because they were cars for old people, which is, to some extent, kind of, I think, what the identity around Oldsmobile was, and probably one of the reasons they eventually went out of business. But I think I thought that was maybe an intentional signifier before I realized no one would actually name their car company that way. Okay, we have a couple of other clues to address. Andy Hills points out, I think let out a notch is even simpler than you interpreted. Yes, I think Andy is right. I interpreted this to mean altering a hemline or a waist of trousers or something. Andy points out more straightforwardly, I think it refers to a belt and its notches, which gets looser as you let out more notches. Yes, that is certainly correct. As often is the case, the simplest solution is the correct one. And Kathy Swope says, the honey and vegan debate. Generally, honey is not in the vegan category because bees are animals, albeit tiny ones. However, a small percentage of vegans eat honey, especially from humane producers whose practices don't harm the bees. Makes perfect sense. That's what I would have figured, that there would be a bit of a debate around it. All right, and finally, Chris Livornia points out, oralism is a weird clue. That was a word with which I was unfamiliar. I speculated, I don't know, perhaps an oralist is someone who specializes in oral history and cultures with oral histories. I don't know. But no, Chris Livornia says, oralism is a somewhat controversial, somewhat archaic method of teaching language to a deaf person. It emphasizes watching mouth movements and lip reading and breathing technique rather than sign language. So an oralist would be someone who teaches oralism, I suppose. And that is true. I did look it up. So oralism is indeed a method of teaching language to a deaf person, and it contrasts manualism, which is the alternative method that deals much more with sign language and usage of the hands. And from what I can tell, the exclusive use of oralism is indeed controversial, and at this point, most practices involve a combination of manualism and oralism. And that tracks with deaf people I've known who do obviously use sign language fluently, but also do make heavy use of lip reading and that sort of thing. So I think that's all I had. Let's move on to today's Thursday puzzle. This was constructed, of course, well, not of course, but as you can see on the screen, by Michael Lieberman and edited, of course, as always, by Will Shorts. And I don't see any reason to prolong this introduction any further, so let's get started. Okay, home of many Zoroastrians. Where do many Zoroastrians live that would fit in 4 letters? I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be obvious with some crosses. A number on the back of a baseball card. Oh boy, I don't know, a year, but this will be an abbreviation because we have number abbreviated NO. It'll be something contracted or abbreviated, and I don't know enough about baseball or baseball cards to know what that might be. Jazz drummer Jimmy. I don't know. Aquafina is blank from Queens, Comedy Central series. Once again, not a clue. Oh boy. I've seen this actress in films, but I have no idea what this show is. Help when things are too hot to handle. Oven gloves, oven mitts. I mean, oven mitts would fit. That's a pretty wild guess, but I have so little in the grid so far. Maybe let's look at some crosses here. Many a cologne. Many a cologne. Boy, I don't know. Word in a Shakespeare incantation. Okay, that could be bubble, bubble, toil, and trouble from Macbeth. That would make this not oven mitts, but that does look pretty good. Place to get paper with plastic. Oh, an ATM probably. You put in a plastic debit card and you're given paper bills. Okay, so the number on the back of a baseball card, I still don't know what that is. Help when things are too hot to handle. Well, the beginning looks like it could start with hot, but it definitely won't because hot is in the clue and you don't ever get that sort of repetition. Here down we have another very long answer. And it's a theme answer. And we probably won't have a revealer because we have an italicized clue. And generally when the clues are italicized, it means that is our indication of what the theme answers are, as opposed to having a revealer, a dedicated clue that points to the various theme answers and explains how they're connected. So I suspect we'll have to figure it out ourselves. Take more shots than. Drink under the table. Actually, you know what? Sorry, I'm going to try something kind of wacky. What if I put the table here and then the word drink? And then we've created drink under the table. What would this be? Number on the back of a baseball. Sorry, the reason, let me explain how I got there. It's probably obvious, but take more shots than. I mean, I know my track record in this puzzle is not great so far in terms of guessing long answers right off the bat. I'll go back to this one. I'm not sure what that is yet, but take more shots than. I mean, this could be so many things. It could be take more photographic shots than. It could be any number of things, but it's a Thursday puzzle, and I'm expecting there to be something sort of wacky. And there isn't a revealer. At least I don't think there's a revealer because this clue is italicized, which means the mechanic will be self-explanatory inside the clue itself. And so because it's a Thursday, there's, as I say, it's probably not just going to be several answers that share a theme. It will be several answers that share a theme, but also some kind of an unusual way the answer is manipulated. And the first thing that came to mind to me for this was drink under the table, which that isn't very, I mean, it's pretty random. I'm taking a bit of a stab, but drink under the table is far too many letters. But if you position drink here, literally under the words the table, you get that phrase. And now that I've explained it at such great length, it will almost certainly be wrong, but I think I'm going to try it and check the crosses and see what happens. Number of Emily Dickinson poems out of the 1,700 plus she wrote that were published during her lifetime. Well, no matter what this is, it's going to be a depressing number. It'll be either 2 or 10, neither of which is, well, I mean, I suppose that's not necessarily true. This could be wrong, but no matter how many numbers fit in 3 letters, it's not going to be very many. 6, say. Cricket segments. Oh boy. There's so many wacky cricket terms. And I don't remember them all because I know so little about sports and particularly not very exposed to cricket. Tomb site stone. No, sorry. I need to check these crosses. Urban obstacle course activity. Oh, what is it? Parkour. Got really big in the sort of early to mid 2000s. Window components. We'll have an S at the end. This doesn't look great. What would a window component be with a B there? I mean, jams, but that's too many letters. So different kind of window. Oh, could be tabs. Could be a window on a computer as opposed to a physical window on a house, say. Ferraro is to Mondale as blank is to McCain. Oh, right. So this is Geraldine Ferraro, who was the vice presidential candidate to Walter Mondale, who lost the presidential race. Similarly, John McCain lost the presidential race with his vice presidential candidate, Palin. What was her name? Something Palin. I don't remember her name, but her name was Palin, and they lost. And both women vice presidential candidates. So I suppose that's another connection. Oh, right. And to explain, there were different parties, by the way. Mondale was Democratic and McCain Republican. When you see this double colon, and another colon, this is setting up an analogy. This is saying Ferraro is to Mondale as whatever this missing word is to McCain. So the two words separated by the single colon share the same relationship to one another as the other pair. And the pairs are separated by the double colon. Anyway, let's move on. A noodle container, it could be a skull, your noodle, your brain, colloquially. Boy, I've spent a lot of time explaining things. This puzzle, I should move on. To let loose could be to untie. I'm actually thinking I'm looking pretty good here with the table drink, which is a nonsensical clue when read that way. A pub purchase could be pub purchase. I'm actually not sure. Attire seen in many Degas paintings. Oh, a tutu maybe? I feel as though Degas illustrated ballerinas, but actually I don't really see how to spell that in this case. I thought, no, that's Desmond Tutu spelled that way. How do you spell? I'm going completely blank. I can't think how to spell tutu, the skirt that or dress that ballerinas wear. Okay, Berry Farm eponym. This is Knott's Berry Farm, which is I don't know if you'd call it a chain of theme parks in the United States, but oddly, it was sort of created around literal berry farms, which I suppose still exist. Oh, a pub purchase is a round. You buy a round at a pub, a round of beers for your mates at a pub. There we go. Oh, I see. The attire scene is tutus. That's why I couldn't figure out how to make it 5 letters with this spelling. There we go. Tutus. Attire scene in many Degas paintings. So let's see. Choke. Can we do a similar trick with choke as we did with take more shots then to work out to the table drink or drink under the table? Choke. There's a U, and that's an R. So these are, what would start with UR? Choke. Under pressure. Yeah. You fold under pressure, or what do you do under pressure when you choke? Oh goodness, I'm choking. I'm folding under pressure right now. What does one do under pressure when one chokes? It's going to be so obvious when I see it. I'm sorry. Okay. Throws cold water on, say, could be wet. And far from fresh could be wilty? That's a terrible word. Let's check the crosses and see. I hope it's not right. It could be used to get away from a bank. It may be used to get away from a bank. I don't know. I'm gonna remove wilty because I don't like it. To fail to maintain. To go to pot, but that would be the thing in question. That wouldn't be the person maintaining it necessarily. Word before Kim, Wayne, and baby. Lil Kim, Lil Wayne, Lil baby. A variety could be an ilk, a sort, a type. Shine's partner, rise and shine. Freshness could be sass if it's used idiomatically to refer to a person being a bit, maybe lightly rude or a bit impertinent, sass. Animal on a Jägermeister bottle. Oh, it's a stag on the bottle, right? It's the liqueur. Words said with a sigh. It could be ah me. That's sort of a poetic or dramatic way to sigh. A blowout could be a rager, as in an extremely intense party. Taste common in tomatoes and mushrooms is umami, which I think used to sort of be called savory. Give a sworn statement in court. So you'd be under oath. So oath will be up here, and then the other words in the statement will be underneath. Give a sworn statement in court. What is this? Instruction in risotto recipes could be stir. Testify under oath. There we go. If one is prone to blushing, say, sad? No, it doesn't really seem right. A small digit is a pinky toe. Digit meaning finger or toe. And Jacques Blanc Cousteau. Wonder if this is a relative of Jean-Jacques Cousteau. Could be Yves, which is a French name in 4 letters that starts with a Y, so let's try that. Request at a consulate, right? You might request a visa at a consulate. Little salamanders are efts. This is another one of those borderline crossword words, maybe. An eft is the baby of some reptiles, I think, such as salamanders. Oh, here's She's Gotta Have It. This is the film that I had in mind when I filled in She's All That or something in a crossword puzzle a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking of the Spike Lee film She's Gotta Have It. Anyway, there it is. It showed up in a crossword as well. Part of GPS abbreviation, global positioning. I actually thought GPS was global positioning satellite, but maybe alternatively it's global positioning system. Maybe they both, I suppose maybe the global positioning system is the thing that uses the global positioning satellite. I'll have to look that up. Okay, big SNL announcements, I suppose, are hosts. When they announce who will host the show, that's SNL, Saturday Night Live. And it's worth bearing in mind that this is abbreviated. These are initials. And so you might think the answer would have to be abbreviated. That is generally true, but I think isn't always true, particularly when the abbreviation in question is something that is itself incredibly widely used. I mean, SNL isn't like scuba in the sense that it has actually displaced the words for which it stands. Saturday Night Live is still the name of the program. That's still common language. But SNL is common enough that I think they can get away with using the abbreviation in a clue without necessarily indicating there's an abbreviation in the answer. But I think that sort of thing also changes as the week goes on. I think you'd be less likely to see that happen on a Monday or Tuesday and more likely to see that happen on, say, Thursday through Saturday when things are a bit trickier. Okay, it's bread for bread is yeast. The thing I only learned in the last couple of years is that yeast is on just about everything that has sort of touched, I don't know, people, plants, kind of organic matter, and you can grow it by just sort of letting things grow in such an environment that the yeast will have moisture and air. Sort of odd. I didn't really know that. Okay, prone to blushing, oh shy. That makes sense. Okay, French city nicknamed the capital of Flanders. I'm actually not sure offhand. Word before blue eyes or blue dot in title. That would be pale blue dot or pale blue eyes, I think. And something taken in protest might be the knee. What is this French city? I'm still not sure. Ashen is wan, so sort of a pale face. It could be due to shock or sickness. To stretch one's legs could be to take a walk. No, not enough letters, but oh, Lille, Lille, French city. There we go. It's one of the cities to which the Eurostar high-speed train from London goes. Okay, you up text, maybe. At least I think it does. Oh, could be a booty call, I suppose. So here, oh, crack under pressure. That's what I was looking for choke. I was looking for crack under pressure, and I just couldn't get there until I had some extra fill. All right, so far from fresh, maybe it is wilty. Does that help here? Stretch one's legs? I don't know, but we've got some almost filled words here, so let's get those. Arms and the man monogram. I don't know what that is. Let's keep going. Incredible could be ooh. And a hostile party is a foe. So go for a walk is to stretch one's legs. Oh, arms of the man. This must be George Bernard Shaw, GBS. Okay. And sacks. Boots, maybe, as in fires someone from a position. Give someone the boot. Sack them. And, oh, I see. It may be used to get away from a bank is an oar in a rowboat. A get away from the shore, the bank. And far from fresh could be weary. That's, okay, good. I'm glad it's not wilty. I wasn't crazy about that because I don't think it's a word. Fail to maintain. I actually don't know what this is. Sorry, let's look elsewhere. Haven't spent much time in the top of the puzzle for a while. Toast sound. Oh, haven't even looked at these downs yet. This could be a clink of a glass. Yeah, I suppose we stopped looking at the downs once I got distracted by this long, the table drink answer. What 10 is not? What 10 is not? I'm not sure. Jazz drummer Jimmy, is it Jimmy Carr? Or am I thinking of is that an unrelated comedian? A busy one, could be a B. Maybe it's Jimmy Cobb. Familiar term of address, could be bro. Let's try these things. What 10 is not? Not. This some kind of logical or mathematical expression? What 10 is not? Going down weird pathways of thinking. If this were a binary number and you sort of flipped each digit, so it was 0, 1, I don't know. Help when things are too hot to handle. Oh, right. This was an early one that I actually thought this might be a theme answer when I first came across it, but I don't think it is. I mean, it's definitely not. It's not italicized. It doesn't do this under thing. Oh, pot holder. Oh, that's funny. I sort of was on the right track with oven mitts. It's actually a very similar thing, pot holder. But just a totally different word with completely different letters. So it doesn't really matter that I was on the right track. Oh, cricket segments. Is this overs, actually? That does actually sound familiar. So that would be 10 Emily Dickinson poems, and then where to find Amazon streams. Oh, this is another thing we never looked at because of the table drink distraction. The table drink distraction sounds like a mystery novel for tweens. Okay, Prime Video, and many a cologne. Is it après, after? I don't. Oh, number on the back of the baseball card is stat. I could have I could have gotten that if I were a bit quicker. You don't need to know anything about baseball to know that stats are involved. So, many a cologne is a spray, of course. There we go. Queen, pop nickname Queen Bey for Beyonce. And Notorious Justice was RBG, the Notorious RBG, as she was known, the late RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Tombstone site once. Oh, this is Tombstone, the setting in Western books and films, and I assume a real place, the OK Corral. A terse reprimand could be tisk, tisk, tisk. It's a terse meaning, a brief reprimand. Fort Knox block could be an ingot, gold ingot. Fort Knox, famously in the United States, is, I suppose, an impregnable storage facility for gold and currency. I actually don't know what all is at Fort Knox, but it's used to represent something that you can't break into. Could this be Iran, Zoroastrians? That would actually make sense, actually. I think there is a Persian connection with Zoroastrianism, but let's check the crosses. 1 billionth prefix, is that nano? Accompaniers of knights could be rooks on a chessboard, knights and rooks, pieces on a chessboard. Aquafina is, I don't know, Nora. Does she play someone named Nora from Queens? I haven't a clue. Oh, here we go. Clueless about current trends, what I often am, as indicated by my failure to identify this answer. Clueless about current trends. So under the... are any of them over, do we think? It looks like they've all been under, so this is probably will be under as well. So... this starting with A is sort of interesting. Let's see. Tell me more. Go on. Do they all have the? No, they don't. Testify under oath and crack under pressure. In fact, only one of them has the. So I keep thinking of things that have the. What is this? Under the radar, clueless about current trends. I keep thinking that probably doesn't have the. Underinformed. No, sorry, I need 3 words. I'm thinking of this completely incorrectly. It's funnier that it was easier for me to get this first one than it was for me to get this, now that I know exactly the format of what I'm looking for. Living under a rock. There we go. That's definitely how it often feels. I am. Okay, living under a rock is clueless about current events. And things you saw while asleep. Things you saw while asleep. Logs. Oh, clever. Sawing logs is I think is somewhat quaint. I haven't heard it. You don't see it used much now, but I think it's from a probably early to mid 20th century expression that refers to sleeping because the sound of snoring recalls the sound of sawing logs. And so things you saw while asleep. Okay, scoreboard numbers when a baseball team puts up a picket fence. Ones? Is that 11? Because the fence has 2. Not really sure. I'm just sort of guessing based on how numbers look. Type of angular momentum in physics. That could be spin if that's ones. Queen's domain could be a hive, a beehive. Queen bee. X for 1 could be an axis. All right, so that must be ones, the picket fences thing. And then here we have William Blank, editor of The New Yorker for 35 years. Boy, I can't remember offhand. Kind of a shortcut. Oh, pixie cut, haircut. Connect 4 in the game Connect 4 is a win. And to fail to maintain is to neglect. What did I... Oh, interesting. Sax is loots, not boots. That's one of that seems like a... I do think boots is a perfectly valid clue there. I'm going to sack that person. I'm going to boot that person. And then also, a marauding army sacks a village. They loot the village. That's the sort of thing you could use in a puzzle with a rebus and have that, BL there, clued sacks, and then obviously it makes no sense in this puzzle. But I always like when you find these sorts of clues that are this pithy, this terse, that work equally well with more than one word, as opposed to needing a whole sentence to kind of modulate it correctly. Anyway, this is neglect here. So great. That was a fun puzzle. I got incredibly lucky with drink under the table drink. That was incredibly fortunate that I got that so early on. Let me know how you fared with this theme. I would imagine if you didn't get one of these early, these italicized clues could be a little tricky. It's always so hard to know when you've been fortunate. It's so hard to imagine what the solving path would have been like without it. So I'm not, but do let me know. I'm trying to think if there were other things in this puzzle. Let's review the theme answers quickly. Clueless about current trends is living under a rock. Take more shots than is drink under the table. Choke is crack under pressure. And give a sworn statement in court is testify under oath. And I think that was all of them. Very clever. That's fun. I think I have seen things that are in that general zone before, to be fair. So it's not as though this concept was new to me and I just plucked it out of thin air. I think I've seen it in the context of there being different configurations of that. So you'll get something like, right of center, for instance, and that will mean something because center will be in the clue somewhere. And then, I don't know, I don't really know where I'm going this, but, I've seen the up, the above, under, left, right sort of versions of this kind of thing with words positioned in different ways. But here we have one entirely devoted to the unders. All right, I'm trying to think, were there other tricky crosses? I'm sure there were. Eve and Efts could be tough, probably, if you aren't familiar with that name and don't know the vocabulary eft. Eft is the kind of thing it's worth remembering for the crossword. It does come up occasionally. Well, I don't know. Let me know. My brain is focusing so much on the under thing that I can't really remember everything else that was in this puzzle. I did like this loots and boots thing, even though I guessed the wrong one. I like that it could work either way with each. Anyway, let me know how you fared with this puzzle. I had a fun time with it and got a bit lucky. Let me know if you did. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe button underneath the video, and it will be easy for you to find these videos each day if you so desire. And if you think you know someone who might enjoy the series, pass it along. Give it to a friend. Spread it to your online community. And also, there's a new Twitter account just for this series, which is at The Daily Solve on Twitter. I'm migrating it away from my personal Twitter account because I realized it was getting ridiculous that my personal Twitter account was doing basically nothing but tweeting about these videos. So if you're interested in keeping tabs on what's going on this channel on Twitter, you can do that at The Daily Solve. Similarly, there is a Facebook page, and all of this is linked in the description field underneath the video, along with the Patreon campaign, which can be found at patreon.com/dailysolve. And there you can find bonus content. You can find bonus solves that I've done of other crosswords. I suppose soon I'll need to solve the next Boss Words competition puzzle. I keep forgetting those come out on Monday, but I don't usually solve them until later in the week because I don't release them until Saturday when the solution has already been posted. So I have to solve mine in the window before the solution's been posted and then post after that. Anyway, I'll be doing that soon. And finally, with the Patreon, you can get additional types of access to the Discord chat server. And even if you don't back the Patreon, you can join the Discord chat server and chat with other crossword enthusiasts. And as I've mentioned, there is a fun crossword constructor community building up in that Discord server. So head over there and check that out. It's been pretty fun to watch that grow. Finally, I would like to thank a couple of people who have generously donated to the Patreon. This is one of the things that's part of one of the higher tiers of the Patreon. And today I would like to recognize Rahul and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster for their generous ongoing support of this channel. I really do appreciate it. Roll and Hood Monster, thank you very much. I hope you join me tomorrow, all of you, Patreon supporters or not, for the Friday puzzle, which might be a bit trickier than this one when it comes to the clues, but won't have a wacky under wordplay sort of thing going on, almost certainly. Although it will, it won't have a theme. It's a Friday puzzle. Anyway, come back and join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Thursday. Take care.